All right, today's video is about how to divide using the standard algorithm when your divisor is not one digit, but two. And as it turns out, everything's exactly the same. The numbers are just bigger. So we're going to go ahead and switch to our pen over here and put DMSB because the steps are the same. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. We're going to put a tic-tac-toe chart over on the side. And then it's just going to be larger numbers on our tic-tac-toe chart. We're going to go ahead and use 25 for our divisor on all these problems today. So we've got 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, and finally 225. Okay. If you don't know how to count by 25s, quarters were a big thing when I was a kid, so I know how to count by 25s, but it is perfectly fine to get scratch paper or whatever, or use your screen and do 25 plus 25 is 50, and just keep adding 25 each time to find the numbers that fill in the tic-tac-toe. So it's very important to do well on your tic-tac-toe because if your tic-tac-toe chart is wrong, your division is going to be wrong. So that is a very vital step in taking our time to get that tic-tac-toe chart correct. Okay, so we're going to do the problem 450 divided by 25. And we're going to say, we're going to use the same steps we always use. So we would say, all right, let's look at what's closest on our tic-tac-toe chart to 4 without going over, and there is nothing, so we're going to put a 0. And then we'll slide over and use 45 together. All right, so we have slid over. The closest thing to 45 without going over is 25. And that fits one time. And we know that because the 25 is in the upper left-hand corner of our tic-tac-toe, and that's the times 1 spot. Of course, the next one over is the times 2, and the upper right is the times 3. And then it just keeps going from there. All right, next we have divided. We have multiplied. Now we need to subtract. And we get 20, and we're going to bring down the 0, and now we are going to start back over because when you get to the bottom, if you had something to bring down, you're going to repeat the steps. This time we're looking on the tic-tac-toe chart for what's closest to 200 without going over. That is indeed 200, and we know that that's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slot, and we're going to write an 8 up here. When we subtract, we get nothing. So if we had 450 anything, let's say apples, and we put them into 25 groups, there would be 18 in each group. Or another way to think about it is if we had 450 apples and we put them in groups of 25, we could make 18 groups either way. Because of that lovely commutative property, we can switch those numbers around and it's okay. So we know we're done over here because we got 0 and there was nothing to bring down. Okay, so let me find my eraser. How big can I make it? Oh, that's pretty big. Good. All right, so I'm going to try to get rid of all my check marks over here. I'm going to leave my tic-tac-toe chart because that is very handy. We're going to do another problem with the divisor of 25. So let's go with a larger number this time. Let's go with 1,550 divided by 25. Okay. So we look over at our tic-tac-toe chart. What's closest to 1 without going over? There is nothing. So we're going to slide over and use 15. Still nothing. Is it okay to have 2 zeros? Absolutely. Sometimes that happens. And then we're going to slide over one more, and we're going to use 155. Now, we do have something that is close to 155 without going over, and that is 150. So I'm going to write it here, and that is in the times 6 slot. So we're going to write our 6 up top, subtract, we get 5, bring down the 0. We get 50, and now we're going to look for what's closest to 50 without going over on our tic-tac-toe. It is indeed exactly 50, and we're going to figure out that that's in the 2 slot and write our 2 up top. We have nothing to bring down, so we are done. Now, as you get more and more comfortable, you may not need to use the check marks on the DMSB, but if they help you figure out where you are, by all means, keep checking. I have been doing this for several decades now, and so I don't always have to practice, so sometimes you'll see me skip it, but if it helps you, then you need to keep doing it. All right, so in this case, 1,550 divided by 25 is indeed 62. Okay, when you go back to the page in Canvas for today's at-home learning. You will see 3 problems that you need to complete. Let me know if you have any questions or problems with them. Thanks so much.